Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Thursday Thought. Today is Thursday, July the 10th, 2025. And for this final episode in the Thursday Thought series, I would like to share a few ideas and poems about dreams and the importance of dreams. Many years ago, a poem was sent to me. I do not know the author, but I thought it was quite beautiful, and it goes like this. A dream is a high and lovely thing, a heart-flown kite on the winds of spring. Buoyant and bright, it hovers there, against the blue, almost a prayer, calling the spirit to broaden its scope of faith in the future and courage and hope, adding dimensions of height and girth to even the simplest joys of earth. If you have a dream, oh, how lucky you are. Play out the string and let it sail far. But follow it ever so close with your eyes, for dreams have been known to be lost in the skies. Never lose sight of it. Hold fast the string. A dream is a precious and wonderful thing. And it would seem that the idea of following your dreams is almost like a cliche. You hear that many times. But I think the reason why it is such a familiar adage is that it has this ring of universal authenticity. Almost everyone, I would think, can identify with the concept of having a dream. But where do those dreams come from? Are we born with them? Do they evolve over time? They certainly change over time. But where do they come from? And I think of 4 questions that were presented to me one time by a wonderful woman named Kate Large. And she was sharing questions that had been presented to her. And the 4 questions are, who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? What makes me happy? And I think even as children, especially that last one, can be answered fairly easily. Children know what makes them happy. And I think how important it is to respect that and to encourage and nurture them in their own search for meaning and for what to do in their wild and precious life, as Mary Oliver once wrote. I remember one time when I was leaving teaching. I left early because it really wasn't my dream. I'm glad I did it for a number of years. I met some incredibly wonderful people, as I did in any number of occupations. But I discovered along the way that the only thing that was really making me happy was the poetry club that I had evolved for children. And that was an extracurricular initiative. So I knew it was time to leave and pursue more authentically my own dreams. But while I was teaching, I worked with a family who had 2 children. I taught both of them. They were about 4 or 5 years apart in age. And in my last grade 1 class, I advised the children that when they were graduating from grade 8, I was going to come back and be there and watch them graduate. So I did that a few years later when they were graduating. I enjoyed the ceremony, and at the end of the ceremony, a couple parents came up to me and said, "Oh, Miss Sinclair, we're very worried about our son." And that son was just around the corner, and I remembered him very fondly. He was dressed in a beret for a hat and very unique clothing for every inch the artist. And I had been at their dance recitals several times when they were in my class. I got invited to just go there and be an audience member. So it didn't surprise me to see the appearance of this young man. But the parents were worried because they said, "We want our son to go into business or something at university that will give him a good job." but all he wants to do is be a dancer. And he's going to graduate from grade 12, and we're very worried about him, Miss Sinclair. And maybe if you could speak to him, he would listen to you. So I thought, oh dear, you might have come to the wrong source. Because from my own experience, I said, I understand completely your wish for Calvin to have a very stable income. And there's nothing wrong with that priority for him. But if he were my child, I would help him to get into the best dance school there is, that is possible for him. And then I would wait for him to amaze me, because your son was born to be a dancer. And that's how he's going to bring his special light to the world. So they looked a little crestfallen, and I'm not sure if they ever took my advice or what happened to that dear young man, but I can only hope that he followed his dreams, because otherwise I think life would have been really frustrating, full of conflict for him emotionally. And, dreams are so different. One person's dream may mean nothing to someone else. For example, there could be people whose dream it is to become a world famous chef. And that is something that would never cross my mind, just the same as being a poet would be terribly foreign to a lot of people. But whatever your dream is, I think it's important to hold on to it. I know Langston Hughes wrote once that, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow." And I also read once that, ask not what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. And then do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And I think when we follow our dreams, that is the most authentic way of living. And yes, there will be lots of consequences and risks and challenges, but they will be ours to make. I read that we are the artist of our life, and don't give the paintbrush to anybody else. So during my years as a teacher in that poetry club that I created, it was my hope, my intention, not just to help children develop an appreciation for poetry, but also to give them courage to really listen to their heart and to identify what they felt they were good at and what was something that brought them a lot of satisfaction and pride and good self-esteem. And I think what is really needed, a very essential part of that, is courage. Courage to follow your dream. Even in that lovely song, To Dream the Impossible Dream, it's been suggested that the overall theme was not the relentless pursuit of unattainable goals, but the courage to have the perseverance to make that dream come true. There's a lovely poem by Helen Frazee Bauer about courage, and actually it involves a conversation with a child. And she writes, "You ask me, what is courage? And I took the dictionary down and spelled it out. For such a little child, the heavy book was ponderous. You twisted it about. You said, it's being brave. And what is that? You said, it's not to fear. Am I afraid? Does courage arch its back up like our cat and spit at everything it meets, you said? Perplexed, we closed the book and took a walk, and came where fire had wrought untimely death. The woods were gone, but on a slender stalk a flower inched for life. I caught my breath and took you by the hand. Courage, I said, is one white flower in a fire-swept land. So I'm going to leave you with a bouquet of virtual white flowers to have the courage to follow your dreams. In synchronicity, there is a professor from Western University whose vlogs I listen to daily. His name that he goes by for his series is the Dr. J Experience. And just recently, he also has been speaking about the work that we choose and how to live authentically with our own mission statement of what is our purpose in life. He has some excellent videos, so if you haven't discovered them yet, I encourage you to do that because it's quite remarkable, the advice that he gives. And he's in pursuit of his own dream to eventually run across Canada dribbling a basketball to raise funds for addiction research and mental health. And he'll need support, so I definitely will be on board for that one. And if you are ever interested in any of my videos, I've got quite a few of them. I think there are over 60 there on my channel, which can be accessed by Googling YouTube with that fancy little @ sign, Sharon Sinclair 828. So I'm going to leave you with a little poem I wrote with and for the Poetry Club. And it was called Dream Catcher. Because I was working with a group of children who all had wishes to be writing and creating poetry, I used the word writer, but you could substitute anything you want for that. It could be doctor, lawyer, good mother, good father, chef, whatever you want. And it goes, you can be a writer and you'll catch the dream. You can be a writer, join the winning team. Climb on aboard, it's not as hard as it seems, 'cause every dream catcher finds power in the dream. You can write about dragons, you can write about kings, you can write about the world and mysterious things. Martin Luther King wrote a speech so fine that he changed the world with his heart and his mind. Langston Hughes says hold fast to your dreams. So come on everybody, join the winning team. Climb on aboard, it's not as hard as it seems, 'cause every dream catcher finds power in the dream. So be a dream catcher, catch the dream.